Explain to me what frumpy means.
What? You don't know what frumpy means?
No, tell me about it.
Take a look right here. This is what a frumpy outfit looks like. Just baggy, unflattering kind of.
Well, you're wearing my Jordan sweater.
Right.
So.
Right.
Anyways, I was just curious. She started off the podcast saying, I look frumpy. I'm like, I don't know what that means. So.
How do you not? Okay, you can tell you're a boy that you don't know what frumpy means.
Well.
That's okay.
All jokes aside, welcome back to the podcast, my love.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
And if you're watching this, we're making progress on the studio. It's happening step by step, but it is happening.
Look at our matching mustard chairs.
We got mustard chairs.
Can't beat that.
Your cup is hiding your beautiful art. There's the original Getting After It artwork.
Kind of embarrassing.
Painted by my lovely wife.
I did it for you.
I know, it's very nice.
I'm in love. That's why.
How are things going?
Things are great. This is probably the longest stretch of time that I get to be in Utah.
That is true.
In a long
Count
time.
our blessings.
So I think I'm here for 5 days, which is exciting.
Very nice.
But yeah, just same old, same old. I wish there was more. Just working, running. Haven't been very crafty
Podcasting
lately.
yourself.
Podcasting myself. Yeah, that's been quite the trip.
How has Siblings in Crime been going?
It's been fun. Blake and I are in different states most of the time.
Yeah.
So trying to figure out how to make podcasts in different states has been kind of a nightmare. We never have good lighting. We never have good audio. We never have good video. So it's been
all the
a
pains.
work.
All the pains of starting a podcast.
Right. So it's been kind of not a pretty start. But, I mean, we're at episode 19 this week. This coming week's going to be the 20th.
That's legit.
So
You're going to be in the top 1%.
That's what that means, huh?
20 episodes is the top 1% of podcasters.
Look at us. Siblings in Crime, top 1%. Love
Boom.
to hear it.
Let's go.
Yeah, so it's
You
been
want to know why?
fun.
I actually have some
data.
facts on that. Yeah.
Tell me more.
So I looked into that a little bit, and I told you yesterday I was watching a bunch of videos and stuff about podcasting specifically. And I found this one video that was actually legit, and I wonder if it'll come up here. Let's see. Yeah, here we go. So, thought this was interesting. Talked about like how to create a successful podcast and all this stuff, which I really enjoyed. But he had this like whole part of like key data points and stuff like that from podcasting. And I'm trying to find where it was at. Here it is. Okay, we're good. So, top 10 podcasts in the world. They capture 35% of all podcast listeners.
35 is crazy, actually.
It's insane. So today, there are 450,000 active podcasts. During COVID, guess how many there were? Take a guess. Everyone's at home. How many people do you think started a podcast?
So started a podcast or kept a podcast rolling?
Started one and now no longer do it. So they were active at the time, but now... Think about like now there's only 450,000 active podcasters.
Okay, so you're making it sound like it's a fat number, like 1 million or something insane.
That's close, yeah.
Really?
800,000 people during COVID. So there's been quite a big drop off.
Which is funny because I feel like nowadays is when you're seeing all the TikToks that are like, everybody starting a podcast right now.
Yeah.
Which is true. Podcasting is like a fun thing to do.
Yeah, it's cool.
But I'm shocked that there was more. I mean, it makes sense as far as everyone was home. But I'm shocked because I feel like that's when podcasting was just starting. So not as many people knew about it or like had the equipment for it. I think it was like kind of just getting big like 2019, 2020.
Yeah, Jocko podcast. That was like my first podcast I listened to all the time. Started listening to that in 2018 when it like first launched. And honestly, I think like the podcasts that are successful are just the most consistent ones. Because like Joe Rogan, he's the number one podcaster. He's been doing it for 12 years.
But he was also famous before, and he has like really interesting guests.
Yeah, but it's because he's done it for so long.
Right. I mean, obviously, the more you do something, the better you get typically.
Yeah.
That's like usually a common trend. Those go hand in hand. So I guess I can definitely see that correlating.
You've seen it in your own podcast.
I mean, we're only 19 episodes in, but I definitely feel a lot more comfortable.
Yeah.
First time you had me on your podcast, I just about passed away. Swore I'd never do it.
Oddly enough, one of my most popular episodes, though.
Probably because everyone was curious about us dating.
That's fair.
All of our old high school friends are probably like,
now we're
what
married.
The heck? Yeah, now we're old news. No one cares anymore.
I don't know. I think we're pretty cool.
Yeah, but we're biased.
Yeah, we're pretty old news. Whatever. Who cares?
Fair.
But yeah, I mean, that is one thing I was going to ask you is like, how have you found your voice? How have you gotten more comfortable with doing podcasts? Because yeah, beginning, like when I asked you to do that first one, I remember we were up in Park City and we went into some random hotel like conference room and we just recorded a podcast. I think it was like 30 minutes long, 40 minutes long, maybe. I remember when we finished, I was like, that was my longest podcast.
Look at you now.
Look at me now. But like, yeah, you were terrified. Not to call you out, but you were scared.
I was like sweating and trembling.
How have you gotten to the point to now, like you sit down and you're like, okay, let's get this going?
Probably putting in the reps. I think, of course, being on your podcast, it's like I'm comfortable talking to you.
Yeah.
I was nervous at the time. We were freshly dating. That's not true. We were like planning on getting married already. But still freshly dating, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, but it was my first time. I hate my voice. I hate being on video. I've always felt awkward in front of a camera. And so I just knew it's going to be like prime uncomfortable alley.
Yeah.
But of course, the more I've done it, I mean, I'm just talking to you. If I was on someone else's podcast, maybe I'd be more nervous just because I'm not as comfortable.
Yeah. We were literally upstairs and I was like, you want to go do one right now? And you're like, yeah, let's set up the studio, which is why we have 2 chairs now. So thank you.
We made it.
But
yeah, so I think I'm just obviously comfortable talking to you, so that helps. And then now that Blake and I started a podcast, I've just had to practice.
Yeah.
I was so unsure about starting a podcast because, one, it just never been appealing to me in the beginning. I enjoy stories, though. I wish I was a better storyteller, and I'm working on it. And I've never talked well. That's something that really, I think it was more of an insecurity where I have never been very well spoken. I mumble, I talk fast.
Yeah.
All the things that's a nightmare for a podcast listener. And so I think it came from a place of insecurity, but as time's gone on, I think I've just cared less.
Yeah.
Care less about what people think. I try to slow down a little bit, not by much. So.
No, I'm loving this though, because like everything you just explained was a reason for you like not to start a podcast. Like you're like, I shouldn't do this. I don't speak great. I'm not a great storyteller. Like I'm not good. I don't like listening to my voice. Right. And you're like, yeah, I'm still going to start a podcast. Why not? And I mean, all the time, I think people want to do something, like they want to go and try something, but the same thing that you just explained, like they'll come up with stories on why they shouldn't do it. And, like I'll tell someone, hey, you should run Team Tim, run 13.1 miles with us. And they're like, I'm not a runner. I'm too old for that. I don't want to do it. Meanwhile, like our moms both ran. They didn't do the full marathon, but like they both said they'd never run again. I actually don't know if Carmen said that, but maybe she did.
Before the race?
Yeah. Because I remember
she used to run a bit. Yeah, she wasn't excited about running originally, but she's gotten the bug. Yeah. Because of Team Tim.
That's good. But I mean, like it's like the story that so many people tell themselves on why they shouldn't do something. And another example is like you being a pilot. It's a very male-dominated industry. Like it's so annoying. Every time we're on a plane, people are like, "Oh, you're a flight attendant," even though you're wearing a uniform.
Yeah, completely suited up.
You have your wings on, and they're like, "Oh, you're a flight attendant." And you're like, "No, I fly these things."
Yeah, I think that's pretty funny.
But like even that, like you had to fight through all the training, and like I remember during the training, you were nervous. Like I gotta fly these things.
It's pretty crazy.
But how'd you overcome it? How'd you just like decide, like, yeah, I have all these things going against me, but I want to do this? Like, what thoughts went through your head?
Well, I think the biggest factor of not doing things is no one likes being a beginner. It's especially as you get older, you don't really try new things as often. When you're young, you're put into every sport, you're put in every class. Like, oh, sure, do an art class after school. Oh, sure, try out gymnastics, whatever. You try everything as a kid. And so you don't care if you suck because everyone's beginners and you're kind of all just learning. As an adult, you're not really put in a situation where you're brand new and you are like the worst at it. And I think it'd be definitely an uncomfortable situation. But I have a couple friends, and like I've seen people on social media stuff. I love when people get into new hobbies when they're older. And I think I just become fascinated with that.
Yeah.
Trying new things. Like I see people who are like 30 and they're like, oh, I'm going to start an indoor track thing. And you're like, that is so funny because...
Indoor track thing?
Oh, I didn't tell you about that?
No, tell me.
No, it's just this. She wasn't 30, but she's probably 20s. I don't know. I just saw a video and this girl, she just missed competing. Like you don't really compete as much when you get older. It's like maybe in like the workforce a little bit. But
yeah, I mean in sales, you'll compete to see who like gets the most. Go to like President's Club, hopefully. That's what it's called. But
yeah, so you compete in that way, but you're not like in sports. You're not really pushing yourself competitively, physically.
Yeah.
And so she like joined some indoor track team or something along those lines.
That's kind of cool.
Where she was like so nervous because it was her first like race that she had, and it was like a track meet, and she just like ran a mile. I don't know how long it was. Maybe it was like a 5K. I don't know. But
that'd be fun to do. Actually,
I was like, that'd be fun to like just like go and do something for the first time you've never done before. And I just started really liking that idea of being a beginner again. And I think that mind shift of seeing other people be beginners and be okay with it, like not be shy or not be intimidated, not being the best.
Yeah.
And I think that was like the first thing that really sparked my interest in trying to podcast, like still painting. That's really all I got going on. But but I was like, am I trying anything new? I need to try new things. But
I mean, those take a lot of time.
Yeah. But I think that's like where it sparked my interest. I think first podcast specifically is because Blake wanted to do it. I'll be so honest. Blake came into the kitchen and was like, let's do it. And I said, okay, thinking he was joking. And then he's like, no, seriously. And it's been so fun. Just another reason to hang out with my brother. And I know that sounds dumb, but we've always been like brother, sister, not so much hangout friends. And now we plan to hang out and like we talk all the time on the phone, and it's been so fun. And so I think community along with like the interest of trying new things are the two things that really push me to try new things, and podcasts and whatever, and running. Like without you, like I don't think I would be where I'm at running. I would not be competitive. Not that I'm like running super competitively, like I'm going to college or anything crazy, but.
Well, you got a marathon in a month almost, and
dun, 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 dun.
I got Allie to sign up for a 50K this year in the Canyonlands.
My
Moab.
Very first 50K.
How do you feel about that?
I cry every time I think about it.
No, you don't.
No, I don't. But I am nervous, I will say. We both did 17 miles today. My knee's been bothering me, and so I've been doing exercises for that, which I think it helps a little bit. So I think I am recovering a little bit, but thinking about adding another 20 miles on top of that really makes me want to cry. So I'm excited for trail running. I think is the biggest thing I'm excited for.
Yeah.
I think I would love trail running. I'm just so scared of animals.
No, the animals won't get you. You'll be so fast.
I'm not faster than a cougar.
No one is. Yeah. You wouldn't even know they're coming. So.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
So I am.
That is my biggest fear too. Cougars.
Yeah. So I'm nervous.
Bears, not so much. Cougars for sure.
Bears aren't just hanging out here next door.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Cougars, they're sneaky.
Right. But I think with you and running, with Blake and podcasting, I think I like having my one person who's kind of going through it with me. I think that really helps me be excited about it. If I wasn't with Blake, I for sure wouldn't have started a podcast.
Yeah.
If I wasn't with you, I'd probably be jogging 3 miles every 3 days and saying like I'm a runner. So,
which technically you would be.
Right.
So don't discredit those people out there who do that.
Not that I'm discrediting, but that's how I was like all my life. I guess I never called myself a runner, I'll be honest. But cardio was one of my preferred exercises, but
how come? Everyone hates cardio. Why do you like it?
Okay, I didn't say like it. Don't jump the gun. I did not say that.
Okay, why do you enjoy it more than most?
I still wouldn't even say enjoy it. I think I'll be so honest. I've always been pretty chunky, and everyone says cardio is how you lose weight. And I think that is really why I've always kind of tried to run, thinking I was like losing weight when I never was, because I would do like the same 2 miles and be like, oh yeah, I just killed that. And then go and eat a pizza, you know? And so nothing ever triggered for me on how to actually like be healthy not even necessarily like skinny, but be healthy and fit and in terms of like cardiovascular and stuff. And so I know I for sure would not be running marathons if I wasn't with you. Nevertheless, a 50K. I barely even signed up for the 50K and I'm with you.
Yeah.
But
what made you sign up then? You can't say me. There had to be something else, because if it's just me, that's a rough reason to run a race. Especially 50K. Like, you got to have a reason. You got to have the why. I always talk about the why.
Crickets. Just kidding.
Crickets.
Just kidding. No. I will say you're a big factor in terms of, if you weren't running ultra marathons, I probably would never thought about it, nor would I even know that was a thing. Like, I'm very unaware of the running community outside of you. But I would say probably just because we're always trying to push ourselves. And of course, the marathon, we're going for more speed. Like every time you run a marathon, you're trying to go faster. But I never thought about trying to make the difficult thing a further distance instead of speed. And don't get me wrong, 50K, I'm probably going to be so slow. Like,
that's okay. We'll have Drew with us too. And he's going to be
faster than me.
No, Drew, you might be slow. I was pretty slow for my first 50K. So
no, you were not. You literally came in like 8th after throwing up every quarter mile. Don't even pull that on me. But
I wasn't. Yeah, okay.
I just thought it would be like a fun shift of goal rather than going for pace, going for distance.
I like that.
And I'm always looking at ways to honor my dad, and he always wanted to do hard things. So here we go, different type of hard, but still running.
Yeah. No, I mean, I love that. I think it's a good reason. Like, I want to see what you're able to do.
Yeah, we'll see if a 50K will ever happen again. I don't imagine going higher than a 50K, but we'll see what I think about it when the time comes.
I'm excited. I think it'll be good.
I'm sure it will. I think I'll probably cry quite a bit.
I mean, come on, think about it. Us running in the Canyonlands, which is a national park.
That's it.
That's it.
You're going to be with Drew, or like, you're going to get so bored of us, you're going to go way ahead. Okay, let me tell you this as I look straight at the camera.
I'm nervous where this is going.
Well, our first team, Tim, right? Brett and I had been dating for like 3 weeks.
Oh, no, you can't bring this up. I was trying to impress you.
No. I was like, Brett's like, I want to run with you. I was like, okay, sweet. And I was like, just a heads up, I'm super slow. He's like, okay. I don't think we made it to a quarter mile. Not even a quarter. I think we made it to 0.10. And Brett's like, yeah, sorry, see ya. Dips. It went so fast. And I just foresee.
And then Drake and I ran together for a while, but then he cramped up real bad.
Right. And so I just foresee that happening with the 50K, where you're like, yeah, let's do it together. I'm like, yeah, right. Okay. And I see that happening for the first few miles, and then I'll never see you again.
Well, here's my problem. Like, I get competitive in those situations.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I don't think you'd be with me.
Well,
especially because you ran a 50K before. You're going to want to beat your time.
Yeah, especially if I feel better, but I bet I could.
Oh my gosh. See, I'm never going to see him on the 50K.
No.
And I'll be like 2 hours behind Drew, so I'm going to finish in like 10 hours, and I'll see you guys.
10 hours.
You're going to be sitting around, eating, waiting for me, having lunch, having dinner, and then I'll start pulling up.
You know what I think about all the time? Whenever I'm struggling during a run, and like, especially when it comes to 50K training, like, you're on the trails a lot.
And like a marathon is a training run. That's sickening.
It's a training run. But I think about like Sally McRae's quote all the time, like, choose strong. Like, what that actually means. Like, every time you run, you have a choice to bail out, to give into what your body says, or to keep pushing on. And what I found with running is that the more I do it, the more I recognize that my body can handle it, but it's a mental game at that point. And so, like, even today when we were running 17 miles, like at 15, the back of my hamstring was cramping up so bad, and I was like, there's no way I'm going to finish this. And then you're like, I got 4 more. And I was like, how many are you going for? And you're like, 17. And I was like, fine, I'll do it too. And then, but like, my body got through it, and I was able to run pretty quick at the end. But it's always a choice to like choose strong or to give in. And of course, like, if injuries happen, you should give in. But I'd say, like, if you have any inkling that you can just keep going and take one step and like keep going forward, like one step in front of the other, as they say, then I would say do it. And I'm sure you'll run into that at the 50K like I did. And you literally had to run a couple laps with me on that one.
I didn't have to. I just want to make sure you're okay.
Yeah, it was rough. I mean, you saved me like twice. You gave me a headlamp, and the first was it the second lap that I was dying?
Second lap, I ran the whole thing with you.
Yeah, that was rough, but
that was frightening.
I had the choice to drop out. Like everyone, even you, I think we're like, it's okay if you drop out.
Don't recall saying that.
Maybe not you.
I said, get your crap together.
Yeah, I think you did. I think everyone else said that though. Like
no, I
Drew,
think it was
Blake.
only Dina. Dina was like, your mom was just worried. I think everyone was like understanding if you dropped out.
Yeah.
And I would have been understanding if you dropped out as well. Because you were like heat stroke. If you were injured or if it was going to literally cause a medical issue, I would say drop out. Yeah. And that's why I kept reminding you, I was like, either you'd inspect, see if you're actually going to go to the hospital or if you're just uncomfortable, in pain. Yeah. Definitely a big difference between being in pain and being injured. And I think I have a hard time identifying those sometimes, especially because my knee's been bothering me lately. It's always difficult to be thinking to yourself, is this, if I continue, am I injuring myself? Is it worse? Or if I continue, am I just uncomfortable, but I can get through it?
Yeah.
So being able to identify if it's pain or injury is very difficult. But I think it's something that you just continue to work on developing as you keep running or keep doing whatever the hard thing is. And in your case, I know how bad you want to finish it because you're running for Jordan.
Yeah.
And I wanted you to finish because you're running for Jordan. And for me, I kind of have made a decision that a marathon's a marathon, 26.2. A 50K is a 50K. Half marathon's half marathon. The distance is all that matters. The pace is our pride. The pace is the part where we are striving to do our best. If we're going slow, that takes a hit on our pride. But if you still finished, you still completed an ultramarathon.
Yeah, that's true.
And so I wanted to kind of remind you when you're going through that, if you're walking, I'll walk with you. Like, if all you can do is walk, let's finish the stupid thing, because then you're still an ultramarathoner.
Yeah.
Even if you're not hitting the time you want to do.
It's fair. You did say that multiple times.
Well, I think about that all the time because I have a hard time with that. If I'm hurting at mile 10 of 17 miles, I keep telling myself, okay, I'm just done. Like, this sucks. I'm like not hitting my paces. I quit. But I think it's worse quitting at 10 miles than slowing down a minute and getting all 17.
Oh, absolutely.
But it's so hard to tell yourself to do that because seeing your average pace go up a minute is like sickening sometimes.
It is true. Like, it is a very prideful thing.
It's all pride.
Especially like, not trying to toot my horn here, but like running a sub 3. Mm-hmm. Like, I feel like everything after that has to be faster than a sub 3, which is hard as hell. And
this doesn't make sense. Like, that's just your own desire.
Yeah. And who knows? I mean, I do love ultra marathons.
Right.
I've only ran one, but I loved the experience. I thought it was really cool.
And the idea of it.
That's
cool.
So I don't know. I might make a shift later to do that more because like my legs are stronger. I'm putting on more weight, which I hope is muscle. But
he's looking handsome.
Handsome. You heard it here first. But I know. I think it's just important to find things to continually challenge yourself while not quitting. Mm-hmm. So I like that.
Yeah, and that's what I know I'm going to be reminding myself the whole 50K is I'm getting the distance done no matter what.
Yeah.
Like, even if I have to walk.
You know what I'll be reminding myself? The man in the arena.
Tell us more.
It's my favorite quote, Teddy Roosevelt. But basically, the quote says, because I don't have it on me, so I'm not going to quote it, that the credit goes to the man in the arena who tries. And if he fails, at least he failed daring greatly. And he's going to go down with the people who have blood, sweat, and dust on their face because they tried something great, and not with the cold, timid souls who didn't have the guts to even try. It's probably one of my favorite quotes ever.
Teddy's the man.
Teddy Roosevelt lived a strenuous life, and a lot of lessons that we can take from that. But he is the man. He's a beast. I love his story because like his whole thing was he was a scrawny asthmatic kid. And
asthmatic.
It says that. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
He had asthma.
I just never heard it said like that.
Asthmatic?
I don't know why that was funny to me. I just imagine some man like not being able to breathe, just like
child.
Some child.
I had asthma. I still do.
Yeah.
I'm asthmatic.
I don't know why that's so funny to me. I've never heard it as a like description.
Yeah. But I think that's a cool story too, because like he's this skinny kid who has health issues, but like his dad's like, build up your body. Like, get stronger. And so he's like, I'm going to go hike and start boxing and lifting rocks and logs, which he did, which is pretty cool. And then he built himself up to where like now everyone knows him as Teddy Roosevelt, the captain of the Rough Riders, the guy who would carry a big stick.
That's so funny because those are the only things I didn't know about Teddy Roosevelt.
Or that he carried a big stick?
And that he was, I don't know about the Rough Riders.
I think he was the general of the Rough Riders. He pretty much made this like ragtag group of like hard mountain men that fought in the Spanish American War. And they all rode like horses and stuff and were just nuts. Like they were crazy. It's like Navy SEALs on horses. Maybe not as extensive. I mean, they used swords and stuff too back then. So
that's neat.
Wild.
Would you say Teddy or Winston? Are you a bigger fan of?
Winston Churchill.
Really?
Yeah, he defeated the Nazis.
Okay, I mean, that's a good reason.
Yeah.
But by what they stood by, what they lived by, they seem like they had very similar...
Yeah, very similar like mindsets, I would say. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. Teddy Roosevelt, he did some pretty amazing things, but Winston Churchill literally had to bear the weight of an entire nation in a world at war because they were the final line for the Germans to break through, and the Germans would have won. And like, I can't imagine dealing with that and still being able to like make decisions and be like, okay, well, I have a clear head. Like, I understand why the guy drank so much and smoked all the time.
Yeah. This is why I love that you're a nerd. Is the only thing I know about history is through you. Unfortunately, I never paid attention in school when it came to history. Then.
What if I get it wrong?
That's true. Well, I trust everything you say, so fact check yourself before you tell me.
Yeah, that's fair.
True.
I like that. I want to go back to something you said about your dad. You said he always talked about doing hard things. Was that a core value he tried to talk about his entire life? Was that something that like even as a kid you noticed him saying things like that?
Yes. I don't know if he always phrased it just like that, but he was big on do something that scares you. Like when we talked about family goals, like every New Year's and stuff like that, that was one thing that he wanted us to choose a goal that scared us. Whatever that looks like. It could be fitness, it could be financial, it could be whatever. Typically it was a physical goal. He wanted us to choose a goal in every category, and usually the physical one was the scary one.
Yeah. Do you remember what your first one was?
Oh, gosh, not my first. I don't know. Usually it was like a certain amount of miles, or I'd do like a 10K or something. Yeah. And I'm trying to remember. Or it's like losing a certain amount of pounds, which never got off, you know. Like most of these goals, I rarely made it through like March, you know. Like these goals weren't lasting long. But we would talk about them throughout the year, and he'd kind of check up on us and see how we're doing. And I don't think he was like pushing us to just as 10-year-olds to try and lose like 5 pounds or whatever I was trying to do when I was 10, which is crazy. But
I was packing it on at that age. I was like, give me all the potato tacos from Taco Bell.
Oh gosh, 10 years old. I was trying to lose weight my entire life. I can't remember a time where I wasn't thinking about my weight.
Really?
Until like recently where I'm like comfortable. But I think
a lot of people struggle with that, myself included.
Yeah, I don't mean to go off a tangent. My mom was just so fit when I was like about that age, like 12 and stuff.
Well, she was a trainer, right? And she competed.
Right.
In, like,
she was in body sculpting competition when her first one was 50 years old. So see, that's
wild.
I was 14 when she did her first body sculpting competition.
Dang.
And yeah, she worked at the gym. She was like a cycle teacher and a body pump and stuff. So I always saw her, and then I felt so embarrassed that she had a fat kid. And that's like how I always saw myself. And so from a really young age, I was always trying to like make her more proud, like to have a thinner daughter. She had never said that she wanted a skinny daughter. She had never said like that she was embarrassed of me or anything like that. These are just stories you tell yourself because you see your parents live in a certain way.
Yeah.
And I was like so proud of her, but I definitely, I had very bad self-talk at that time, especially. Okay. But my dad definitely always enforced like doing hard things throughout our entire lives. It looked different year to year, of course, which makes sense. And he always talked about doing the hard thing first. So like on Saturdays, even in summer, he'd make us get up at like 7 in the morning. We'd have to do all of our chores. We had to go to the gym or like workout of some sort. And then we could play or take a nap if we're still tired or something like that. He always wanted us to do chores and exercise in the morning. Whatever that looked like. He's like, you can go on a walk, you can go on a run, you can go to the gym, I'll take you. It didn't matter what it was. He just thought it was really important to do hard work first and move your body. He was big on that, which is funny.
I love that.
He wasn't even huge on like exercise himself. Like he tried, but I mean, he was like he called himself skinny fat because he ate horrible. He just never looked obese.
Yeah.
And we would go on runs in the morning together when I was like 12, and he was like shuffling like he was 80 years old, and I can barely run. I'm a little butterball.
Yeah. Butterball.
But we would try, we'd like him and I were kind of buddies in that way. We were both the chunkier ones. Blake was always fit and like really strong with mom. And me and dad were always trying to sneaky brownies together. Like we were like bad influences for each other. Like we'd go to McDonald's and mom didn't know. Not that she would care.
You need a partner in crime.
Yeah. And he was my partner in crime. And
that's cute.
But he still emphasized how important it was. And so he taught me the lesson. It was more like, do what I say, not as I do sometimes.
Yeah.
Which is fine. He totally acknowledged that too. He was like, I know I'm not great, but I'm exercising in the morning with you guys, and he's going on a walk just like the rest of us.
Yeah.
So it was always taught. I think my mom definitely showed more by getting things done, which is kind of funny. But my dad was like the teacher.
Yeah. I love that.
But my dad was like working hard in other ways. Like he was nonstop like for his jobs. He was so good at being present with the family. He was so good at serving like behind closed doors. Never knew when he was serving until he passed and everyone's telling me all of a sudden. But like he was always working hard on relationships and making sure that we are comfortable, and he had enough to share with everybody.
Yeah.
Like he was so good at that. Exercise was a kind of do as I say, but he taught me the lessons, and mom was a great example of it as well. And so I've always learned it. It took me 20 extra years to figure it out, but
now look at you.
Until I lived with you, then I was like, oh, that's how it's supposed to be done. Made sense all of a sudden.
I mean, it's just consistency, really, when it comes down to it.
Which I never had.
I think it's there's actually this quote that I saw on my iPad when I was just looking for that ChatGPT thing, but it's from Jeremy Bentham.
Who is that man?
I have no idea, but he has a great quote.
Okay.
He says, "The rarest of all human qualities is consistency." Why do you think that is?
I think it's difficult. I think, well, speaking from experience, I'll say that first.
All right.
For me, one, being consistent is difficult. Usually it's a hard thing to be consistent with. But I think routine can get boring.
Yeah, for sure.
Doing the same thing every day is so hard for me. I hate when 2 days are similar. And I know that's very opposite of you. You love your routine. You love your structure.
I do love structure. Yep.
And I do not like structure.
Maybe that's one of the reasons I can be so consistent.
I think so. I mean, it definitely makes sense. I think it's kind of part of your personality with what you like. And I think that's why it's hard for me, is because I don't like any 2 days the same. The gym now has become more of like a daily thing where you don't have to think about it, so it doesn't feel like consistency. It's because it's like a part of your day, which I think that's the trick to making things consistent, where it's not a negotiable.
Right.
It's just part of your day, as if you just woke up and brushed your teeth. And I think because I'm with you, it helps a ton. I never learned that. Every day I was making a decision to go. Now it's, oh, okay, I'm going to do that. And then what's my decisions after that?
Yeah.
So I think that helps. But it's so hard to just decide to do the difficult, well, usually it's difficult, do the same thing over and over and over. I think it gets bland a lot of times. I think you need to mix it up. Like I was just talking to my brother and I told him how I had 10 miles the other day. I was like, oh my gosh, I do not want to go run. And he's like, why don't you do like Pilates one time and then cycling once and then hot yoga and then run and then do this. And then, he's like, mix it up.
Yeah.
If you're getting bored of your routine, doesn't mean to stop. It means make an adjustment and keep doing it. But
which is good advice, honestly. Yeah. Like if you can add things to add variety to it and make it feel a little bit more novel, then that's a good thing. If it allows you to stick with it for the long haul. But I mean, you said it. It's like it is a decision that you have to make. Ultimately, like from discipline, you have to make the decision to be disciplined, which is why it's so hard. Like even with the podcast, with running myself, like yes, there's many days when I'm like, oh man, I'm too tired. I don't want to run, or I don't have anything I can really talk about on the podcast. Maybe I won't record, but it's like, it's so important to do those things and stay committed to yourself, because like your word is everything. And if you say you're going to run, but don't actually do it, I think in my head, at least for me, it's like, I don't trust myself anymore. Like, I don't know if I can hold, promises that great, because I can't hold promises to myself. Like, I'm going to go run, but I don't. Like, that only hurts me. Of course, there's circumstantial things that pop up, but like, if you can, and I know it's hard to sometimes make those decisions, but stay committed to it and be consistent. It's hard, but it's worth it.
Let me ask you this. This is something that I know we both struggle with.
Okay.
Like I said, I was supposed to do the 10 miles on Thursday. My knee was really bothering me. It was like sharp pain.
Yeah.
And it bothered me so bad. You know how mad I was.
Yeah.
I was like, Brett was being so nice. Like, I'm proud of you for trying.
You literally texted me and said, I love you, but I don't want to hear that right now.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
That was me saying like a nice shut up.
No, I know. Yeah.
And you didn't respond, and I felt bad about it.
Oh, I just let you have your thing.
Yeah, I needed to simmer for a minute. But so let me ask you that. We have these goals. We're consistent. How do you have any techniques for yourself? Which I know that was frightening. If you're watching the video, if you're not watching, go to Spotify.
Oh, no.
Go look at the video.
Do it.
We're at 36 minutes right now.
Don't go watch it.
I just saw the wildest thing I've ever seen.
She's making it.
That was wild. Okay. Absurd.
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Like I was saying, that was crazy. Like I was saying, I know we suck at this. How do you not put all your self-worth in your goals? Because so much confidence comes from achieving goals, and that's why you set a goal.
Yeah.
It's like you want the result and you want self-confidence. Goals is perfect for those things. You're not hitting a goal. How do you not put your self-confidence in not hitting a goal and just ruin your worth?
That's fair. I mean, I'm not perfect at it, but I've gotten a lot better.
Okay, how have you gotten better?
Well, I'm going to talk about it. So yeah, I mean, every time I don't do something, like this week is a good example.
Okay.
I was sick Sunday night. Thank you, parents and little children. Easter. And didn't work out Monday, didn't work out Tuesday.
Pause. Monday, I got in town. We took a 5-hour nap on Monday. Went to bed at 8:30. Woke up at 8:30 the next day.
That's true. Yeah,
that's how zonked.
I was out the entire day. I was awake for maybe an hour and a half, but struggling. Like, and then even on that day, like when I was stuck in bed, I was like, "Man, I'm a loser. I'm not running, or I'm not lifting weights." And it's so irrational to think that when you're in that state. And then like Tuesday, I was feeling a little bit better. I went to work. But like my body was still super weak, and I was like, I'll just try and work out when I get home. Didn't happen because again, I was super tired and my body was weak, but that's one of the things that's like circumstantial that, is a little bit easier to deal with. Like when you do have those thoughts, it's like, well, I've been sick, like it's fine. But, I would say the best thing that I've learned that's helped me overcome some of those thoughts about like, man, you suck, man, you're not who you say you are, you're slipping, is to just move on to the next day. Like you can't change the past. You can't live in the past. It's like what the Stoics talk about. Like you can't change the future, or you can't look into the future. You can't change the past. So why worry about it? Like live in the moment. And I've told you this a few times, but like there are days when sometimes I don't run or lift or anything like that, and I feel pretty bad about myself. But then I'm like, I'm not going to let that ruin my day. Like, yeah, I didn't hit my goal, but I'm not my bad days. And there's no reason to let that hold me back for this day. Like, I can still do really well at work. I can still have fun with you when I'm home, and we can do whatever. Like, if I took that attitude and was like, man, I suck, and then I show up to work and I'm like, maybe I can't even do my job, and I show up at home and I'm like, maybe I'm a terrible husband. Like, it just snowballs into like terrible thoughts about yourself all day long. And I'd say the best thing to do is just move on. Be like, hey, I might have like slipped up today. I might have missed the mark today, but tomorrow I'll be back at it. It's just trying to have perspective. Like, nothing's going to change in one day, but over a week, you might see some, like, I'm saying if you don't work out, nothing's going to change in a day. In a week, maybe you'll see some fitness lost. In a month, for sure. In a year, you'll be a different person. That's if you don't work out. But like, you let one day go by and then you're back at it the next day. It's nothing. It's like same with the podcast. Like, I missed an episode last week or this week, I didn't put one out on Monday because I was in Arizona and just made excuses. And I'm like, you know what? This thing is important to me. I need to make time for it. Like, even if I'm in Arizona, doesn't matter. Like, we travel a lot. I have to make time for it. So I would say it's taught me to have perspective. That's a long-winded answer, but hope it helped.
That makes sense. We talk about perspective a lot.
Yeah.
That reminds me of a video I saw once, and it was along those lines. This person just did like a visual of that exact concept, like pouring a glass of water and barely spilling, and then end up just dumping the whole thing over, because like that's how it is. Like, oh, you're taking your laundry to your bedroom or something, you drop a sock, so you just dump the whole laundry basket. That's like really how it is. Like, you had one bad thing and then you just throw the day away.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't remember the other visuals that they did in that exact example, but the concept stands, where you can either have a bad moment or make it a bad day, or make it a bad week or whatever. And I understand that. It's definitely hard to have that perspective once you're in the heat of it.
Right.
Because it's so frustrating sometimes. And not even with just exercise. Like, you'll have like a bad grade or something and you're like, I'm going to flunk. You know, It's like, it can be a little dramatic. I was just thinking as you were saying that with perspective, and you and I have been talking a lot about thinking like celestially, or we say like heavenly.
Yeah.
Think live in the present, but like think forward at the same time. And I was thinking about like when I was really frustrated on Thursday, the only thing that was like helping me calm down was starting to listen to Christian music and Christian content.
You do love that stuff.
I love Christian music. I love Christian content. I soak it up. God is good.
God is good.
And it helps me just like bring me back to reality. I'm like, I'm so like, this is so insignificant.
Yeah.
And then one thing that you've talked about recently, which I've really liked, is remembering your identity as like a son or daughter of God.
Yes, absolutely.
How come you've been focused on that so much lately?
I mean, I've dealt with self-worth issues my entire life. And like I've talked about Fat Brett on this podcast.
But we love him.
We love Fat Brett. He was so cool. But
I miss him.
Like, even in that time, I would swim with my shirt on. Like, I was the type of kid that like was embarrassed about his body. Mm-hmm. And then when I got super sick,
look at us two fatties getting married.
Yeah. Well, I was about to say, when I was super sick and 135 pounds, I looked like a skeleton, and I was again really embarrassed about how I looked. Like, you would always say, like, I think you saw me one time at church and I ran away. It's because like I was embarrassed that one of the reasons I was embarrassed is because of how I looked. I
literally was trying to chase you down. I was like, I haven't seen that guy in 5 years.
Yeah.
I should go say hi. I also heard that Brett was sick. I say Brett as I'm starting to talk to the audience. That Brett was sick, and I was concerned, so I wanted to catch up. And I was like, well, maybe he was anorexic, because I saw you from a distance, but I never caught up.
Yeah. But then, I've always had like self-image issues. Yeah. But knowing that like I'm a son of God and was made in his image, and like he cares enough about me to take care of me in this life, like give me great parents, like, I don't know. I mean, there's something to that that's like, if you can understand what it's like to be the son of God, like we all are sons and daughters of God, like understand that our body is temporary, and we're made for so much more than just like living here on earth. Like there's so much more that we can't even comprehend that we are promised if we live righteously and like live a good, righteous life. And I think it also just helps me remember that I'm immortal, and, you know, I'm not at that state of, you know, God yet, but like when I live with him again, I will be exalted. It just helps me remember who I am, and like goes back to like running, podcasting, doing my job. Like all those things are important, but they don't matter in the long end, because what really matters is that I am a son of God, and like I will return to live with my Heavenly Father.
One thing I like to think about is our actions matter, right? We can't just say, like, in our belief that just like Christ is king and that's that, and we can go live a sinful life.
Right.
Actions matter, and showing up every day matters, but our worth doesn't change because of our decisions. Our worth is permanent in the sight of God. Our worth is not reflective of how we are choosing to act, what we do and do not do. Our worth is constant.
Right.
Of course, when you slip up, you need to repent. Like there are like good and bad actions, and there's like moral and unmoral things, but regardless of our actions, at least we can know that we are still so loved by someone who knows us perfectly.
Yeah.
And I try to remind myself, like, God knows me so perfectly, thorough in and out. And I know he loves me as a daughter of God. And because he knows me so perfectly and knows our neighbor so perfectly, and we both sin in different ways,
Yeah.
and loves us still regardless, I guess I could do a little bit better about loving myself and my neighbor.
I love that. I think honestly, like the best analogy that I can think of, this is going to be a rough one because I don't have kids yet, but like as a future dad, I can't imagine how much love I'm going to have for my kids, our kids.
Especially with how obsessed you're with me.
Yeah, it's going to be insane. Like I'm going to be wrapped around their fingers. It's going to be dangerous.
I'm worried.
But like I cannot imagine the love I'm going to have for them, because like I've seen the glimmer of love like that I have for you, and creating a child together and like loving that thing is going to be nuts. Yeah. And so I'm sure like I did in high school and throughout junior high or whatever, but like you make stupid mistakes and you make dumb decisions. I'm not going to love that kid any less for the stupid things that he does or she, unless they like, I'm not going to love them less. I'll be disappointed. I'm not going to love them less.
Right.
And so whenever I'm having like a hard day, mentally with like my own self-worth, I try and do that same thing and be like, how does God think of me? Like he knows I'm going to make mistakes. We're all imperfect. The only perfect person on this earth was Jesus Christ. And knowing that, like, I know he still loves me. I know he still cares about me. He wants me to be happy. And that's just kind of what I think about, is like that analogy of like, how would I love my kid?
I like how you said you love them, but you can be like disappointed.
For sure.
And I think that's important. Like shame, guilt, embarrassment, those are important emotions. Like that means you want to like you need to change something.
Yeah.
And I think when I think of like God loving me, I'm like, that's great. Or my parents will say like my mom loving me. I know I'll always have her love. And I know you and I are both so fortunate to have parents who love us and in such a way that we understand God's love.
Yeah.
I am well aware that people don't have that in their lives. And I can imagine it'll be hard to comprehend God's love with parents that aren't available for you.
Yeah.
But I know we are very fortunate. We have incredible parents. And so I think we have a little bit of a better insight of God's love for us. But I know I disappoint my mom sometimes. I know I disappoint my dad sometimes. And I think that's good. Like disappointment shows room for improvement. It shows where to adjust. And I think now that I'm thinking about this and we're having this conversation, I think that's just as important to have in ourselves. I think it's okay to be disappointed with ourselves. We didn't hit a run. We cheated on our diet. We were mean to somebody. Yeah, be disappointed. That's an important feeling to have, to recognize a need for change of behavior. But it doesn't mean you need to love yourself any less. It doesn't mean that your worth decreased whatsoever. But those emotions are signaling you for adjustment. And I think that's important.
I love that.
Which the more I think about it, as we're talking about it, I need to start recognizing this in the moment a lot better.
It's hard. It really is hard. Like, it's something like I talked about with consistency that you have to practice and you have to choose to be disciplined with it.
Right.
And like I said, I'm getting better at it. I'm working on it, but it's because I'm choosing more often than not to have grace with myself and to just pick it back up and be stronger the next day. Mm-hmm. So I think it's good.
Yeah. Gross feeling. But
learn
important.
from it. Yeah. Learn from it and move on. Get after it again the next day.
Again and again. No, I agree. I was just curious your stance on that because I know you and I both struggle with it, and I'm sure the whole world struggles with it.
Yeah. If you don't, message me, please, and tell me your secrets.
Yeah. That's got to be some delusional person, I think.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that anyone who's
either way, a delusional person could be fun.
Maybe delusional is the way to the happiness to life.
Maybe it is. Be delusional.
Yeah.
No, you didn't hear that here on this podcast.
Yeah.
Erase that. Take it out. Edit.
You're the one editing.
I'm not editing this. I don't edit this.
That's true.
It's all raw.
Anyways, I was just curious on your opinion on that. It's something I strive for understanding every day.
Well, I love it. I think that's a solid place to end, is just understand your self-worth and try to be nicer to yourself, because you can't get after it if you're filling your head with negative thoughts. You have to believe that you're someone who's worth getting after.
But at the same time, hold yourself accountable. I think
extreme ownership, baby.
Extreme ownership. Like, you can't love yourself to the point where you put yourself in a little comfort bubble and don't do hard things. You let too many workouts slide. You just eat a full pizza every day. I think if you're feeling gross about stuff, if you feel embarrassed, you feel disgusted, you feel disappointed, listen to your emotions, understand why you're feeling that way. But it doesn't change who you are as a person, of course. But love yourself in a way that you want to keep care of yourself. Not feel that disappointment and that discouragement. Love yourself out of that.
I love that.
Work your way out.
It's a great place to end, my love.
Well, thanks for having me.
It's always a pleasure. You're my favorite guest.
Happy.
And I always enjoy a conversation. So I hope this was helpful and fun to listen to for everyone out there. If you want to rate the show, it would help a lot. So please do.
Rate it, comment, repost, all the things. I'm his #1 fan, so you'll see me doing that every single week.
Yeah, do what my wife says.
Yes.
Or she'll hunt you down.
I will. I'll find you.
And until next episode, everyone.
Keep getting after it.